Welcome to the first ever Egads Podcast episode.
Big win.
Big win.
Big win.
I'm Daniel.
I am Nicole, and on the Egads Podcast, we will go over some fun events and then talk about a movie, which brings us to today's movie, which is the new Pixar film that just came out today, Turning Red.
Turning Red. The film about a girl who gets stressed and then becomes a giant rodent. Wait, is a panda a rodent?
No, a red panda is its own individual species, only including the red panda.
It's its own species.
It is its own species. It's not a panda. It's not a bear. It is a panda.
Then why is it?
It is technically a panda. Your average everyday panda is technically in the bear species.
But they look so similar. Alright, well, we have just watched the Turning Red film, and today we're just gonna kind of go over it and just have some basic discussion. And I know myself and Nicole here, we grabbed some notes about the film, and I think we'll go over them. We'll just kind of discuss them. You want to kick it off with one of your notes?
I will kick it off with my notes. I've got a summary that I'm going to summarize. But I would just like to say my first summary is, it was interesting, as it was like the stock market. And
I'm sorry?
What I mean by that is, my emotions, I thought at first it was terrible. Like, I thought it was terrible at first. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I hated it.
I know you're summarizing, but can I comment really quick?
You may comment.
First 10 minutes, I swear to God, I was about to text you and tell you I can't watch this.
Yeah, that's what, I have my notes. The first 10 minutes, I've got, first 5 minutes were annoying. Like,
Yeah,
I hated
here.
the first 5 minutes. I hated them. I could not take it.
I hate the main character, and she's annoying. And then right here, it says last updated like a few minutes ago. Then I edited it, and it said, but slowly growing.
Yeah.
It was such a rocky, start.
They started it like the trailers. Like, they had her talking to the camera like they had in the trailers, and I assumed that was just a trailer thing. But they continued in the movie, and it didn't seem very like anything Pixar's ever done. That didn't seem... It definitely felt uneasy with me, so I was very disappointed at the very beginning.
Oh, wait, really quick. Spoilers.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
That's a given. So, my emotions, I thought it was bad at first, and then slowly, at the end, I thought it was pretty good, but, every time they tried to be, cool and hip with the kids, it dropped. I just didn't
I don't know if they're trying to be hip with the kid. It's weird because I think throughout the film they're injecting modern day humor and jokes that are supposed to land on the current generation, but the setting is
it's in 2002, so they had a lot of references that were the older audience, I think, but the fact that they combined it with their still humor didn't. I don't know how fond I was of that, but I could see the early 2000s connections, mainly with the boy band, which basically were the Backstreet Boys.
I found out recently, I saw, this is what reminded me that we were doing this today, that I'm pretty sure some of the songs Billie Eilish and her brother wrote.
The Backstreet Boys?
Yeah. No, I mean... they wrote some of the music for, the boy band.
Did they?
Which I was kind of confused about, because I think, they had, one song in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't so fond of them. I didn't...
No, especially at the end, but...
No, yeah, they kind of confused me. It was definitely very Backstreet Boys-y, which I hear here in my notes that the Backstreet Boys started in 1993, so at that time they were already pretty popular. I think out of the 4 girls, I didn't like many of 4 girls. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I wasn't not including someone. I liked the short one, Abby, the best.
I thought you might like the little, mean one.
The mean one?
She's kind of like a...
I don't know, I like the short one.
Yeah, she's funny. I have a note in here. I said that, I like the yellow shirt one. I don't know if that rings a bell.
She's the one with the jeans and the poofy hair?
Yeah, the really depressed one.
Yeah, I didn't really like the green one. Didn't care for the green one very much.
Yeah, I don't know. It was there was this one scene where I kind of realized my thoughts on the whole friend group, where it was they did this scene where they go back and forth and show like they're on the what's it called, like dodgeball like court thing, and they have a scene where it just cuts to each one.
Yeah.
So they show like the short one being all like crumbly, and they show
that's when they were saying what their parents had said to them asking about going.
Yeah, right. And then they're just like cutting back and forth, and then they cut to the green one. It's just not really anything. I feel like she was probably the most bland character there.
I was. Oh wait, my bad. I was kind of confused by that part where I don't remember his name. I don't know if he had a name. He did have a name, but I don't remember what his name was. I called him Emo Boy.
Yeah.
I don't know why he was included. He was in one scene. I thought he was going to be a bigger part. He was not included at all.
I was so confused about, and that's also an issue I'll bring up later, the pacing of this film. Especially, with that kid. Like, I saw him, like, really quick, like, it, like, obviously, like, kind of comes into frame, but he's blurred. You can't really see him. And I'm like, oh, just a little extra that kind of got too much in the way. Well, obviously, it's animated. And then all of a sudden they cut and like, oh my god, is this going to be the main focus of the film? And then he's in one other scene.
No, is he? I didn't notice him at all.
You know when they have this part with they're like when they're making money off the panda.
Oh no, I do remember. Yeah, I remember that she fell in love with him. And then she, made a paw mark on his shirt, and he was like, oh, yeah, homies. And that's not what he said.
It kind of felt like a scrapped part. But
yeah, it did. That's what it reminded me of. Like, they were like, oh, let's go for this, but they're like, no, we're going to go back to the Backstreet Boys. We like the Backstreet Boys better.
I'm not sure the Backstreet Boys were... Alright.
I'm calling them the Backstreet Boys.
Okay. What are they called? The four?
Four.
That's all I remember. They just kept saying four.
I have it in here. I obviously have it in here. Wait, let me find... Oh, Four Town.
Oh, wait. Alright, but the Four Town.
Yeah.
And I was also kind of confused why their entire friendship is linked around this one band.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than that...
The whole movie was basically linked around them.
Really quick, I know this is completely sidetracked. There is this side plot where she lies to her mom, right? And says that she thinks about her mom and her dad to calm down. But really, she's thinking about her friends. She never comes clean about that.
No, she continues to talk about it. Like, when they're all the aunts and grandma are all over, too. The mother brings that up, and she's like, oh.
Yeah, I know, but, I mean, you can also kind of see the guilt on her face, but still, there's no, I mean, I guess it was resolved with the whole, oh, she's her own person now, but still, they never specify. That's a big lie.
And I think one last thing I have on here is I think a lot of people's main issue, especially in the trailers and stuff, were just first announced in the movie, is the style of it. So I want to know what do you think of the style?
We were talking about this, I think a few days ago. The faces.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing all the ads for it, and I don't feel like I've seen Pixar do something like this.
They did it last with Luca, but it didn't feel as much of a shock, I think. I don't know why. Because the movie itself Luca seemed more like Pixar-y, so I guess it still had that Pixar vibe to it, just a different style. But this movie just didn't scream Pixar.
This did not feel like a Pixar.
No, it didn't.
No, not a... I mean, obviously...
My last note here is, it didn't scream Pixar.
Yeah. No, I don't know what it was. I mean, I just feel like Pixar always has this, esque to it. I don't know if they had a different team on this film. I know they did, they recommended me, the creation of it. I think they have that on there.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I mean, that was, the next thing after, when you watch The Incredibles, watch The Incredibles 2 next. When you watch this, watch the behind the scenes.
Yeah, that whole thing. But I don't know, and I wouldn't necessarily say that's completely bad. I'm just saying seeing the trailers and seeing the whole Pixar brand, this was not the film I was really expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the whole thing that intrigued me to watch it, because originally I was kind of I'm not really into that. Well, obviously I watched it because we're doing this thing, but everyone was telling me it was funny. It was not very funny.
It was not very funny. I think it still had that. There was certain parts where it was Pixar, like it had like every Pixar movies they've like got that emotional scene or whatever. There was like one of those I think I found.
Yeah.
That was when they were in the finally at the like towards the end when they were back in the forest. When like she went up to her mom and then they started walking back, but like other than that, that was like the only thing that kind of gave me Pixar-y vibes. But it's actually I think it gave me more Disney vibes.
Yeah, I don't. This felt like a Disney film. I feel like I was gonna say the animation, but no, I think just generally the pacing.
It felt too long.
Yeah. I my biggest note here, where I have the most like words about the pacing. I noted it down several times here. Let me just bring that up real quick. I thought this movie could have ended at a lot of different points.
Yeah, I was ready for it to end about 1 hour in. Like once I was an hour in, I looked at the time like, oh, this should be over soon, right? It was not.
This felt like it felt like it should have been a short film. But also, but what confused me about that, like you said, the whole, stock market roller coaster thing, right? Stock market.
Stock market's it's an important point. It is. It's an important point.
I'd say the thing I was thinking about was, yes, I wanted it to end earlier, but also at the same time, there was parts closer to the end that, I still enjoyed. So, would I not want it to end? But also, it didn't feel right where it was. So,
connecting it to a recent Disney movie that just came out, Encanto seemed very it went by too fast. It was really rushed, and I think this movie felt like it was really the exact opposite. It was going way too slow.
The scenes in this film felt like they were kind of placed a bit weird. I don't know. I remember I think 3 or 4. It's 2 or 3 times I clicked to check what the timestamp was, and every time it's not even halfway yet. And I was really confused because there was, I'd say, probably 3 or 4 emotional end points. Kind of what they did was they have this one arc with She Wants to Be Herself. They go through that. It ends. Okay. But then they just pick up a new arc.
Oh no, my camera. Oh no. My apologies. There is a technical difficulty that takes place here, so we're just gonna cut to when that's not there.
So, back to what I was saying about, I just felt like there was different arcs. I'm sorry if I'm, being vague about that, but, there was a few times where there's I thought they were just gonna end it, because, the movie felt like it could end, but then they picked up a new thing. Her now deciding she wants to keep the panda. And it's not like she's making different... It's not like the characters are making different decisions. It's just, the story felt like it could end, but then they kept picking it up for one time. And, yeah, I'd say that's probably what one of my biggest problems is, especially with... I was so confused when this film had a final battle. She fought her mom.
I've got a few more questions about that scene, but I'm going to save those for the discussion later.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to put the point on pause because I'd want to go more in depth. But another quick note I had: she's too small to be 13. Look, I know these are kids' Disney films, but she's too small to be 13.
Well, I had the exact opposite reaction. When she was standing next to her dad, I'm like, is she really 13? She's really tall.
Her dad's just tiny.
I'm a big fan of her dad, by the way. He's my favorite.
I love you.
He is my favorite.
Most of it, I loved every scene he was in, but I also was kind of confused why he's not, why he's not showing up a lot. But then he has that big scene at the end where he comes and...
And I also really like his introduction.
Does he?
It's the really cooking scene. I've marked that down.
I have a note about this. That was one of the okay. That was one of the best Pixar scenes I've ever seen. The animation, I don't know who made it. I really hope there's something about it in the behind the scenes, but it was done so well. Like every time, I just felt like I had clicked on something else because it looked so different.
I think that was the one thing that this sort of animation style had. It had almost more like a 3D, even like more 3D, and more of like this, like, I would almost call it Gummy Look. It's just the first word that I thought of. Okay. But that nice, like, very gummy look to it that I think helped with the cooking scene. It was like very crisp.
Yeah, and also like the liquids and the pouring like the soup and all that. I thought all of that was great. But also, yeah, I think the whole gummy thing makes sense. And then there was another thing I had noted down about the whole style, right? Like I had some vague notes. I just said liked style, but a note I had was the like sometimes the background, right? Instead of a 3D render, it was just a drawing. I don't know if that was a mistake. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I think it was just the choice of the style, but especially there's this scene in the film where they're doing this big chase, and some of the background, like the buildings, are just like one shade, and like very like you can see the kind of sketch on it, but then a few like inches away from it, there's an actual 3D rendering of the like apartment building. So I thought that was a bit confusing, I guess.
I think we should probably move on to some discussion questions now. So if you would like to start with those, because I started with the notes. So
I'd say just like let me just make sure I don't have anything. Good job, Billie Eilish. Pixar scene, that cooking scene, unlike any Pixar scene. Oh yeah, the whole mom and child thing. I really like that. I think what did it remind me of? It kind of reminded me of Brave. That whole mom and daughter thing.
Don't remember anything about that movie.
There was a mom and there was a daughter.
I know the mom was a bear.
Yeah. But I remember really liking that dynamic. I think it felt like how they kind of bounce off each other. But then all of a sudden, the movie kind of gets rid of that because it says like, oh no, but she actually never liked it.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about now. At the very beginning, I did like the mom a lot more because they had this like dynamic. But then that did kind of vanish. So that's why I started to prefer the dad more, because then she started to have that dynamic with the dad.
Yeah, well, I didn't really understand why they kind of got rid of that. I mean, no, it makes sense. But all right, I think now we're gonna be ready to move on to some discussion questions, like questions about the film. I have one.
You have one. I've got a couple.
Right.
Some of them aren't really discussion. Some of them are just kind of facts. But let's hear it. Go.
All right, you wanna?
No, you go. You go. I said you were starting off.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. First discussion. Should there be a sequel?
No.
Okay.
I think sequels can only... It didn't end like a sequel could happen. The ending was very whole. But what do you think?
I think they're gonna milk it into like a shorter animation series,
like something like similar to like the Big Hero 6, or something more like
yeah, that's what I was thinking. It felt like there was a lot of work put into this concept. I don't think there should be any more story following this. I feel like we got introduced to the characters, we went through their experiences, we went through like most pivotal point in their lives, and now it's over. But I can imagine them doing some probably short, just knowing like Disney and like Pixar what they want to do if this movie gets successful. I can imagine that. But yeah.
Okay, here we go to my. I want to know if you predicted that Mei Mei would want to stay as a panda, or if she would want to change back. Like, what did you think she would choose?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I remember during the. I promise it's related. During the party that they agreed to, and they're all sitting up, and one of the friends asks, "Well, why don't you just keep it, right?" And then Mei Mei's extremely like reluctant. Like she says, "No, I don't want to do this." And then approximately like 5 minutes later, uh, she she doesn't want to get rid of it. And then there's the big fight and everything. But I would say no. I really didn't predict that. It felt like a pretty big left turn, but also it made sense.
I said the exact opposite. Like, I had the feeling the whole movie that she was going to keep it. I'm not sure where that came from, but I suppose I was really pretty satisfied with myself for being so. Like, I don't know.
God.
I don't. I know, applause. But yeah, I kind of predicted that she would want to keep it, like, once she started the whole school thing, because at that point she's turned so many times. I actually didn't think it would work. Like, they kept saying, "Oh, if you do it too much, it's not gonna work." Like, I was actually really surprised when it did work.
I like how they illustrated that, the whole like pulling away and how dependent, and then also at the end the parallel, how easy it is for the other like old women. I like them.
Big fan.
To just like to just walk through.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, I don't know why I didn't predict that. I think it's like obviously the whole like marketing around this film, like it's a big panda, yay. Like turning another lead character into an animal.
I think they did better on this movie than like some other instances where that's happened, because it wasn't the entire like main part. Like, it wasn't like the middle. If you split the movie into 3 parts, usually it's character normal, character animal, character normal. This part, it was kind of split in between. Like, when I think of that, I think of Princess and the Frog. I think
never seen that.
You've never seen Princess and the Frog. Well, it's just saying basically the same thing, where she kisses a frog, she gets turned into a frog, and then like the whole movie, she's a frog.
Why would she kiss a frog?
Why wouldn't you kiss a frog? So that's what I thought. Like, that's kind of what I thought they were gonna do with this. So it was. I guess it was pretty good. Like, that's not what they did.
I don't know, because I don't know why I didn't predict that, because like I feel like it's kind of obvious also, like,
yeah, I think,
but also there still is that doubt that she's gonna want to do it. Like, is she gonna, like, she got, like, I think the reason I didn't think so is because she got this new thing she really likes about herself, but maybe the lesson is like she learns to accept herself how she is already, and having this big new thing like change her. I don't know, that's kind of what. And also another thing I thought they were gonna do is the whole, I feel like, I don't know where I've seen this before, the like whole kind of depression like line where like parent gets mad and they like strip the child of like all their like cool stuff or whatever, and then like they're all depressed at school and they're not themselves. Looks more like anguish than depression. But I think, yeah, I thought she was gonna be like really depressed because they took it away. But then she realizes, oh no, you can't take it away, and then they're all free. But I don't know, they went in a completely different direction.
One really big question I had is, so when everyone turned into a panda, like, they were all the respective size, right? Mei Mei was smaller, obviously, because she's a kid, but like all of them were still around the same size as they were as human, just like a little bit scaled up. Why was the mother so big?
I know why. But I was thinking about that. But it also, like, not to be mean, I did.
But also, not to be mean, it was so much more intelligent, and you figured it out instantly.
I mean, if we're agreeing here, but yeah. Also, I love how they illustrated all the different, but I would say it's because the mother has the least control over herself. I'd say they're all like they're respective. They all have their own silhouettes on their fur. Their ears are different. They have little patches or something. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but they all have their own distinct looks. But the mother, most of the film, you can kind of see she's always like, and we also see at the end, she's always been struggling with her identity, and it feels like all these older, wiser women are like pretty already accepting. They're just like, okay, yeah, I mean, this is us. But then the mom is like extremely infuriated, hurt. Then I just felt like that's a state of like complete non-self-control, and I think that's kind of their way of illustrating it. But also, I think it was just an excuse to have Mei as a panda do that weird dance that she did.
I hated that dance.
I don't. Okay.
Anyway,
if this reaches a Pixar executive, what was the point of that? Why? Like, why? I don't understand what it was for. Like they're all shouting, like, "Do your thing!" Like, yeah, get her. What's she doing?
I'm gonna be honest. There was a little too much booty shaking in this movie.
Oh. And they're 13.
Mm-hmm. One note that I have in here is, let me find it so I can word it exactly. I had, what is gyrating? And I'm just gonna move on to that. Anyway.
I paused it, did a lap around my house, came back in, skipped 10 seconds, and then continued with the film. Let's talk about it.
The thought, going back to the mother, why I thought she was so big when she first got large is like, oh, that she's got all this pent-up emotion that she's been holding ever since she was small, so over time that's grown. Like,
you said much appendage.
Okay. But at the time, like, so Mei was like, oh my gosh, she's so big, and she asked father, and then father's like, I told you she was big, so he didn't seem shocked, so that's how big she was when he saw her. So that's, like...
That's what didn't make sense to me, though.
Yes. Because I was sure she had grown over time.
I'd say that would make sense, but also, then you realize he wasn't shocked when she was that big.
Yeah, so that's how big she was, like, when he saw her as when she was, like, 13 or something.
Definitely not, but...
Well, why wasn't he shocked? Because she said she was big. She destroyed half the temple. Well, how big is the temple?
Half the temple. The temple's about...
Well, I think
definitely not scale. Was it maybe a different temple?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, were they somewhere else?
But I feel like they didn't make that clear enough.
Yeah, so I was confused if it was that temple or if it was, like, an actual, like, larger temple.
But then again... If a giant red panda, and I'm about to lead this into another point, a panda that size doesn't get anyone's attention, but a little, like, red panda that a few people see gets on the news.
Well, I think that was, so say this was 2002, let's say the parents are, what, like, 50, 40, the news wasn't quite as large back then.
Yeah, but they picked her up pretty immediately. Like, she was already on TV.
No. Sorry, I'm talking about the parents. Yeah, the parents. I thought we were talking about the parents on being on the news. Like, why weren't the parents on the news?
What parents?
Like, her parents. Her mom, Lord Panda. I thought you were saying why was
I'm sure she was.
No, okay.
Yeah, no, she was. They said it at the end.
They did? My bad. My oopsie.
Your oopsie. They said, they called it, like, the Panda Apocalypse.
No,
like everyone.
No, that was her talking about just her, like, the 2002 Panda Apocalypse.
Yeah, but I thought, like, in regards to the stadium, everyone knows what happened.
Yeah, no.
But also,
okay.
And again,
I don't think
why is everyone in this film not concerned about the panda? No one seems to care.
I think only people who slightly cared is when, like, their cars got destroyed, but I think they were more angry at, like, the person in front of them in the car.
A child got mauled by a giant red panda.
Well, no one except the children. Like, the parents didn't see the panda. They just saw. I think they just thought.
Well, he says your child is a monster.
They said your child is an animal. They said your child is an animal. And I think that's just what they meant is, like, the scratches. Like, they thought just human Mei did that. I don't think the parents saw a giant panda.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing at the idea of the human Mei doing that. It's like, but also, then again, that also confused me because they have the whole Tyler's party thing where he gets like scared to death and like ripped to shreds and bleeding everything, and then a minute later they see him completely fine at the concert and they're all friends.
And that was like, well, they said that was on like a little bit before the 18th, and then that was on the 25th, so he should still have like scarring on his face.
And he should also still be, he was still kind of mad, but like not like completely distraught.
No, the green one was more angry. Anyway.
Oh, tall, boring one.
Yeah, that one.
But yeah.
Sorry,
alright. Do you got another?
I just want to know if there's any small, like, little, it could be nitpicky, it could be, oh, that's a cool little detail, I want to point that out. Like, were there any things, like, small details that stuck out for you in either positive or negative way?
Small. I would. Yeah. I'd say the mythology of it all, the rituals, the trapping it. I thought it was very intriguing, but also I don't think it was explained very well. Like obviously they're not going to spend most of the movie explaining that.
I mean, they could have. The movie went by so slowly.
Yeah, literally. Like it's also that that should be a clear issue of pacing problem, right? Like it's like yes, 2 hours is a long time, but also it's like it's an hour 50, hour 47, hour 50, whatever. But every scene and every like moment and conflict felt so long, and not in like a good way. Like it felt like it was just being dragged on forever, and yeah, I just wasn't a fan.
I think.
But yeah.
Oh,
I like the whole, no, it's fine. I just like the whole like mythology and like the design of everything.
Yeah, I think they had a very like ancestry vibe to it, like how they all.
Well, yeah.
Instead of the gods as ancestors, and then by bringing in the parents and then like the aunts and stuff, I think they tied that together.
Yeah.
I have one more detail that I want to point out, but I'm just looking something up so I don't look stupid.
Yeah,
okay.
I also I was kind of confused why they just like then the mom and the dad agreed to advertise the panda at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't make too much sense.
But
like
they spent.
Hey, I don't accept my daughter. I'm gonna profit now.
Yeah, I think they just wanted a quick way to wrap up the movie, and like instead of having the parents like sit down, talk, blah 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 blah, they're just like, oh no, they're cool now.
Naughty.
Anyway, a detail I wanted to point out is the. This is a really like small detail. I don't know if I'm just being nitpicky or something. Is the price of the tickets? So the concert tickets were $200 each because they needed to save up $800. So that was in.
So it's $200 each.
It's $200 each. And that's in 2002, but that's also in Canadian dollars. So I have to remember that. So I went and I turned.
Right with the flag.
Yeah, they are. This takes place in Toronto, Canada. 2002.
Oh,
Toronto,
right.
Canada.
They also say Toronto.
They do, yeah. But I wrote down here that I turned that into first into American dollars and then into now dollars. Ooh, and that puts the total cost of the 800 up to 981. So that's almost 1,000. So they would need to get $1,000, and that put also each individual ticket at $245. And the average concert ticket cost $100.
100. I don't know how much I was concerned with the whole price thing.
Well, that was just, I was just being a little too nitpicky there, but I just wanted to say that because it kind of bugged me.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I mean, since I don't know this stuff very well, I thought it was too low.
Oh, no, I was like, even when I was watching, I'm like, this seems like a lot of money, man.
Like 800 for it's like supposed to be like the biggest boy band in the world, or the biggest band in the world, like One Direction level, man.
Backstreet Boy. We are not dissing the Backstreet Boys.
I'm dissing the Backstreet Boys.
We are not dissing the Backstreet Boys.
They are not back, alright. You see that?
Yeah, it was very silly.
You get it?
I was mad. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So like, One Direction, like their whole thing, yeah. I feel like they're so popular and they're like performing on their like massive world tour and in the biggest like stadium in Toronto.
So I just looked up the average price of a One Direction ticket. Like obviously, like when they were born. It was $163. It was $163 at max
right.
for an average One Direction ticket.
For I was gonna say seating, but it's not really about seating.
So that's still like $100 less than what these faux boys.
I mean, yeah, I think it's also. It was also interesting because I'm not sure what they could have done with that. Because also, no, I think the reason they had to is because also they were getting a lot of money. Like you could see just how many scenes happen, like where they're just getting raked in, like they're just getting like a ton of cash. So, I think they had to increase the price regardless. But no, yeah, I'd say that's a definitely interesting point.
Let me see if there's any little other. Yeah, so it says like all of this for a concert was one of my things too. How I don't know, like I've never been to I've been to a concert like that, but
I've never been to a concert.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure like how almost like realistic that is, I guess. Like I'm not sure what these Backstreet Boy fans are like. Calling all Backstreet Boys fans, ring us up, let us hear your opinion. No, I'm sure they're still around. They're like 40 years old or something. But please don't call them.
What aren't they like? I'm confused because like their whole like song where they go like Backstreet
it's back
something.
All right.
Yeah, that's an old song, and it sounds like they're making their comeback. I don't know.
I'm not sure about the history of the Backstreet Boys. Please, Backstreet Boys fans, don't.
Yeah. Oh God, it's gonna get on their algorithm.
Oh no, not the Backstreet Boys. We've said back. Oh.
Please. What's the YouTube CEO name?
Susan.
I think. Susan. Yeah. Susan, don't do this, please.
No, Susan.
But yeah, no, I think let me check if I have any last notes. I said it was funny. Kind of.
I said that I would watch it, I think, at least one more time. Like, I would watch it with someone. Yeah. I don't think I would watch it on my own, but if, say, like, old Timmy from down the street wanted to say, yo, you want to go watch that new Pixar film? Like, sure, Timmy, why not? But I wouldn't sit down and purposely rewatch it again. But I'd watch it with someone else.
Here's my step. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. I'd say probably if someone like texted me, no one texted me. If someone said like, "Hey, you want to go see the Pixar Turning Red?" I wouldn't be like, "No, oh god, that movie's so awful. No, I hate it. It's blocked." I would probably just say like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure." Like I'm down. Like I wouldn't say it was a bad movie. It was just unexpected and not really my cup of tea that much.
I'm not sure how bold of a comment this is, but Incredibles 2 was better.
And that's just because you're like, that's your favorite movie of all time.
I'm very fond of Incredibles 2.
You like, she watched it like 3 times recently.
I watched it 2 days in a row.
She claimed it was for research, but I think she just likes it.
I really like the Incredibles 2. I almost said I really like the Backstreet Boys.
I don't know. I think I gotta rewatch it. Maybe that's next Friday. Incredibles 2.
Incredibles 2. Not Incredibles 1. Who cares about the first
one? That's not like, I don't know how relevant that is. It's 29? 8?
I'm not talking about the original Incredibles.
When's the first Incredibles?
When did the first Incredibles come out?
Yeah. I think also really quick while you find that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to wrap up our Turning Red discussion, and now we're just kind of probably going to ramble into some other things. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in if you're leaving after the Turning Red segment. Hello, goodbye. Hope you don't send us threats after our review.